adversity or been so much adversity?
It becomes a full-time job. You know, kids are pretty resilient. I've noticed as we can't sleep as coaches and we're up all night, they get over it. They come back. But what happens is it begins to wear you down mentally when you know maybe you don't have your so-called studs right there behind you, just subconsciously. So you constantly have to keep bringing forth the message that we can make this work, and let them see that, hey, us coaches, we're still trying to work to get better at this, trying to resolve this whole thing. And we have to continue to stay on them about putting forth their best efforts. And it's a full-time job to keep that going.
Do you think, in like hindsight, that the 5 guards sort of line up there, is that something that you can do for extended minutes again, or is that just, you know, or does that leave you thin in other areas?
I think the smaller lineup gave us something the other night, and I don't think you can play 40 minutes that way, or 30 minutes that way, but I think there are definitely spots in the game we can.
Did you, because we were asking you after the game, when's the last time you did that, and you thought maybe it was the Roy Jones kind of combo. Did you go back once you kind of knew that? Did you try to maybe go back and look to see some things that you were doing around that time that maybe could translate into what you've got now?
No, we didn't. We've talked about some other things, but we didn't really look at that group because the makeup of that group was so different. You actually did not have to tweak a whole lot, because when you're talking about Brandon Roy and Nate Robinson and Trey Simmons and Will Conroy and Bobby Jones, those 5, you put those guys out there, they're going to make plays. And they were able to make it within our structure. And they were able to, we had a certain structure that still was versatile enough to be able to play with that type of group. And guys still knew where they were supposed to go. And all 5 of those guys could score. We don't have all 5 guys that could score at that level with this group, so we couldn't quite do it that way. But we've been working on some things.
I think it might be a little different atmosphere here tomorrow with the Super Bowl 3.5 hours after you guys tip off, and everybody talking about that.
I don't know what to expect. That definitely probably is something way off in terms of what we got to think about, though, because of, we got to play well tomorrow ourselves, and I have no idea what to do.
Would you prefer not to play on Super Bowl Sunday?
Probably would be better if we didn't. If it was at home, if it was on the road, it'd be great. Or if it were the Miami Dolphins and somebody else, not the Seahawks.
Right.
But I'm a Seahawks fan, so I'm excited we're in the Super Bowl.
I guess since we're asking you, I mean, I know it's probably last on your thought list, but do you have plans? I mean, are you just going to go home and watch the game, or you have?
No, I don't really have. 12 o'clock we play tomorrow. That's about the extent of my plans right now. Game goes well, we'll probably plan something after the game.
Yeah, just how important is it for like Sean Kemp to really give you guys something each and every game now? You know, just from that low post.
Very important. And we have to go to Sean. We can't expect Sean to go out there and attempt to defend, attempt to rebound, and do all this and not get the basketball. We got to make sure we get him the basketball so that he can make plays.
The best thing he does is what?
Finish around the rim and run the floor. He's pretty strong around that basket. He's got to where he's pretty confident around there. If he catches it down there with an angle, he's pretty tough to deal with. And then he just really runs the floor.
And then the things that he still needs to work on are what?
Well, I think we all know he can still stand to become a better rebounder. Yeah.
How difficult is that to become a learned thing? Because we've seen it with guys before, like a Brockman or whatever, where it just seems so instinctual and so natural, and yet other guys that are even bigger seem to struggle with it mightily.
Well, we're talking offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding. They're entirely two different things. Some guys are very good defensive rebounders, but because they're long, because they anticipate where the ball's coming off, they go get it, they rebound outside of their area on the defensive end. But on the offensive end, it's a mindset. You live to rebound almost. You know, there's some guys that they recognize, they see their teammates stepping into that shot, and when their teammate is here, they're looking at the guy they're playing against, finding out where he is, so I can pick an angle to get past him, and then read where the ball is going. And I tell the story quite often of a guy, you guys remember Tyrese Shears, who was a very good rebounder for his size. And when he was a freshman, he was playing against John Brockman. And John Brockman kept telling me on the side, he says, Coach, Shears is a load to keep off the boards. I said, yeah, I know it. He said, I don't let him know this. He says, but there are times I can't do anything with him. He decides to go. And this one particular play, Tyrese was on the left side of the wing area, probably about 10 feet out. And John was guarding him. And the shot goes up, and when Tyrese saw it, he immediately tries to get by John going to the baseline side. When he saw, like he starts to go, he sees the arc of the ball, and he realizes the ball is going to come and bounce back. So Tyrese sees that as John goes to box him out, he does it again and comes back to the middle, gets it and lays it out. And John literally looked over at me and went, you know, like, you see what I mean? That's instinct. That's having a nose for the ball. The best offensive rebounders have that. I think it's easier to be a good defensive rebounder than it is to be a good offensive rebounder, because defensive rebounding doesn't take as much instincts, but you got to be able to box out. What Sean does sometimes is he does a great job of boxing out, but then doesn't go get the ball. And you got to, we've coached guys before that were horrible at boxing out, but they go get to that ball before you would. They just have the ability to do it. Rebounding is not simple. There is a lot that goes into being a good rebounder. But the number one thing would be your mindset. Is I'm going to go get the ball.
Is it just something now you have to kind of drill in? Because obviously you have some guards and Nigel and King Andrew that are good rebounders. Do you have to kind of just tell them, look, this is going to become maybe more of a focal point of your game to kind of help?
We told our guys from day one, everybody has to try to get one more rebound a game. Everybody, not two guys, everyone. Try to go get you one more. You know, we just lost to 8. And the thing is, our second best rebounder was Jannard. You talk about per minute. We always talk about rebounds per game don't tell the story. Rebounds per minute tell the story. And Jannard was second. Mike Anderson is third in terms of minutes, with guys that haven't had quality minutes. So you get Robert and Jannard out. Both of them are gone. Two best. Boy, a lot of guys got to step up.
When Mike looked to score against Stanford, obviously he finished with 16. Was that closer to what you want from him, and now maybe what you need from him?
We want Mike to take advantage of his opportunities. Mike doesn't have to be a guy that now we're just running every play for him and we expect him to score 25. Just take advantage of your opportunities. And he gets opportunities that he turns down. And we get on him all the time about, you have to go because you're good enough to go make these plays. And when he gets those opportunities, take a good shot, take care of basketball. If he does that, offensively, he will help us out a whole lot.
And like this, how different is this team when you get some scoring off of the bench? Just in the forms of Clevin and Darren.
It's a whole different team. when we have multiple guys, and again, no one has to go out and have their best game of the year or get in a zone. Make your open opportunities. Make your open opportunities. When we do that as a team, our team rises to another level.
I know philosophically, you want to run at every opportunity. I mean, you want to stay aggressive and try to create tempo when you can. But when you're having all of your guys having to crash, when you're looking for extra rebounds from your guards and stuff, does that inherently change things for you guys, especially with your depth and you're having to manage it and you're having to run more zone and you're doing those kinds of things? Does that fundamentally kind of have to change a little bit of where you come from?
It's still a mindset. You can still, Lute Olson would tease me about, he'd just say, we would send 5 guys, which we never did. Once in a while, it would happen that way. He said he thought we sent 5 guys to the boards. So on their scout, when they were preparing for us, he'd say, a couple of you guys can leak out. Check your man a little bit, but you might be able to leak out because they're sending 5 to the boards. He said the problem was we'd send 5, but then when you try to beat us down the floor, we were back. Now, because our team was so quick at the time, that was 05, our team was very quick, we could do that. Nate Robinson was one that really could go to the boards and still get back. He was quick enough. So we would do that. We would really attack the glass like that, but we had a mindset to get back. And our team right now is not as quick as that team, but you can still go, 5 guys can go get a defensive rebound and then sprint down the floor the other way. And you can still get out there and spread the floor and play up tempo. It's a mindset.
Do you guys still do much of the high post now? Or has, just because of all of the changes in personnel, that doesn't?
Oh, we still have it there. It's a matter of what we're facing, how a team is defending us. If the team is defending us a certain way, then we may spread the floor and do something different. We may set more balls.
And do you go back to more of your man-to-man deals now because it looks so good in the last game?
Offensively?
No,
or defensively?
On the defensive side.
Yeah, we probably won't play as much zone. I mean, before, again, the zone allowed 2 guys that were playing, Robert O'Shaw and Sean Kemp Jr. Because they were both playing so well, you wanted them both on the floor, and if you played man-to-man, it was difficult for both of them to play. But when we played zone, it allowed them to play. And it allowed more guys with, Jannard going down, guys stay in the game longer without getting tired. So now it's kind of the opposite, where we can't sit back as much.
What is Jannard able to do physically right now?
He is just starting to get on the treadmill, I believe, and starting to jog. Those type of things.
And his timetable looks like what now?
It's still 4 to 6 weeks.
So from today or from
No,
when he
from
had injury?
when he first had surgery, I think they was talking about 4 to 6 weeks. It's the same.
So are you hoping that he can be back sometime in February?
Yes, hopefully. That would help us a lot.
I think I asked you this about Stanford, but from the scout, from when you guys played Cal last to the game they just played with Washington State, who have you seen that's really kind of started to come into their game and maybe, someone that you've had to scout for now that maybe back then wasn't as much of a factor?
Well, I can't say it wasn't much of a factor, but they're just playing so much better than the Stanford team we just played. When you look back at Stanford's conference season right now, they've lost, I think I talked about this last time, they've lost 2 games. One of those games was to Arizona, and the other was they had the game won and 90% free throw. Randall missed 2 free throws at the end of the game at UCLA. If not, they're tied for first. So they've been pretty consistent, but I think now, with those 3 shot makers, Nasic, Randall, and Brown, and the experience that they have, they can make baskets and their experience, they have good size, and they're getting Reed Travis back. I think they're a team that's kind of playing well and making a move right now.
What about Cal in terms of some players that are starting to emerge that maybe we didn't see during the first game that are starting to play well?
Well, Jabari Bird didn't play last time. He hadn't hit his stride yet. And then when we played Cal, Wallace had been Player of the Week twice already, I think, in the Pac-12. Since we played them, and even in our game, I think he was 4 for 20, and he had a few of those games. Well, he broke out last week at Washington, last game against Washington State, and he scored well and got back to playing the way he was playing earlier. So that makes it different. And they've changed a little bit. Tarwater is starting now, but before he was coming off the bench. They've made some changes. So they're a little different team than when we played them before. That it?